Hello, my little ninjas. My name is Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News, and welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie, and tonight I have an action-packed show for all two of you. All three of you, excuse me. And I will be ready for a bong hit just momentarily. I pressed some lovely dabs because it is Dabs for Donations Friday. And I thought, ooh, we better get some dabs ready if we're going to make some donations, dabs, and I don't think we're going to have to worry about that tonight. uh, for whatever reason. What's up, Jay? Um, let's see. So I'm already ready for a bong hit. I'm gonna go. I have a video about Seattle police officers getting fired for taking part in the Capitol Hill protest on January 6th. Now there was six total Seattle police officers that have been identified as being in the area of the Washington, D.C. protest, the Capitol Hill protest that happened on January 6th. Seattle police cops have been identified. Two of them got fired today, and they released their identity. It sounds like they were husband and wife or something. They have the same last name. One's a female, one's a male. That being said, they won't show pictures of them, which, you know, they said that they have images of them, but they're not going to show them. It says that also. They're not going to show everybody else who gets busted doing this shit. They show images of. They show pictures. They show video. But they won't do it for the cops. No, they have extra special protection that you don't deserve, don't you know? So that bothers me a lot about this. Other cops were there. They have more images of them. They won't show us any of it. What really bothers me is that there was at least 6 Seattle police officers from the Seattle Police Department. There's probably more than 100 police departments in Washington State, which, you know, means there's probably, you know, what, 50,000 police departments across the United States, right? So how many cops came from all those other police stations, other police departments, not police stations, police departments? Because you know lots of them did. You know lots of the people there were cops, in fact. And we have to ask ourselves, because whenever we see cops in a protest in plain clothes, you know, 90% of the time plus, they are provocateurs. They are there to agitate the protesters and get them to do stupid things. They're there to agitate the police. A lot of times, like, I remember I posted a video about a cop in the middle of a protest in Canada, and the cop threw a rock at the other cops, and then the cops went berserk. Provocateur. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mark.
What's up, G?
Hey, just saying hi, Mark. I haven't called in a while.
Yeah, you called the other night, but the show was over.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was trying to join later late though, but I don't know, kind of joined late into the party, so I didn't even talk to you.
Are you doing
But you hear
okay?
about the news about yeah?
You doing
Did you hear
okay?
about the news about? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm
Okay.
just working from home now.
The news about what?
It's about the policemen that they got fired by the Seattle Police Department, I believe.
Yeah, only 2 of them.
Yeah, because they participated on the Capitol assault,
Yeah,
quote unquote assault,
yeah.
insurrection, quote unquote.
A lot of them
Um,
participated. More than just 2.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people really believe what they were doing over there, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie to you though, if I had the time and I was there, I would probably participate as well. But I was working. So, again, I kind of agree on their feelings and their sentiments. But at the same time, I think they kind of screw it out though because they shouldn't let the process work out. And you will still see Trump as president.
I don't know about that, Manny. I don't really care. I don't just don't give a fuck. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, it makes no difference to me. They're both horrible garbage of human beings. You know, what I care about is these people that were protesters at the Capitol on January 6th. Americans doing in the fine American tradition of going into the streets and demanding that their so-called representative government hear their voices are now being labeled as domestic terrorists. Okay, that's what bothers me. I don't give a fuck who won the election. Okay, I'd like to know that the election, that there's some integrity to our elections, which we do not know. Of course, the Biden administration keeps telling us it's completely legit. We don't know that. And nobody seems to be doing a real audit on the whole thing. So we never will at this point. What, Manny?
Nobody will do it anymore. Because apparently doing it damages the integrity and basically the transparency. If we do another, we lose faith. So that's pretty much why they haven't done it yet, though, because they want to pay.
Hey, do you have plans? Do you have the weekend off, Manny?
No, really though. Closing. I'm doing the mortgage closing for my job, so I might be a little bit busy. I'm in Washington with my family right now, so.
Oh, cool. Did you get your pizza yet?
I need to get the pizza, dude. My cousin is here.
Okay, good.
My cousin is here, my cousin.
Okay. Courtesy of Mox News. Manny won a Domino's pizza card, courtesy of Mox News. And I have a Subway gift card to give away today if we reach our goal of $50 in donations, which I'm not counting on, though it would be nice.
I'll let the other people who are watching try to win the prize most, because that time apparently I can randomly and I won the prize.
Yeah, well, no, I'm glad you won, Manny, and I hope you enjoy the pizza. I need a bong hit, so it's good to hear from you, Manny. I hope that you're doing good. And I hope.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine, healthy, economically, like wholesome. I'm doing great. I'm doing a little bit.
That's really good. I have to tell you though, I'm quite certain that you're not eating enough cannabis. So you should really work on that a little bit, bud.
Even drinking alcohol while watching marks is not good for you. I end up with the tipsiness and I can only focus.
Yeah, don't drink alcohol. Alcohol is very bad for you.
Well, I gotta make some reviews about that, though. But
no.
Don't drink while working, man. That's definitely my best advice. Don't drink while working.
Yeah. Okay, man. It's good to hear from you, bro.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Enjoy your weekend. See ya. All right. So, right. He was talking about the January 6th, the Seattle cops being fired. I want to play that video for you while I heat up my bong, because it's Dabs for Donations Friday. As I was saying, if you give a donation, I will be most happy to do a dab in your honor. It's easy to leave a donation. There are clickable links in the text body of the video, or you can go to moxnews.com. It should take less than 2 minutes. And I wouldn't ask if I didn't need it. I promise. I promise. If I was flush, I would not ask for your money. I might ask you to give it to other worthy needs, other worthy projects or whatever, but I wouldn't ask for myself, so you know. I'm going to play that video for you now, which is Seattle cops fired for taking part in the January 6th protest in Capitol Hill. Clip number 9. Number 9. Number 9. Number 9.
You're watching Como News.
Breaking now as we come on the air here at 3:30. Seattle Police Chief Adrian Diaz has fired 2 officers that were present in Washington, D.C. during the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The 2 officers have been identified as Alexander Everett and Caitlin Everett. This follows a recommendation by the Office of Police Accountability last month that the officers forced out of their job or should be. OPA concluded that the 2 Seattle officers violated Seattle Police Department policy as well as the law of Washington, D.C. when they were caught on video standing next to the U.S. Capitol in an area they said was off limits to the public as the rioters climbed walls and forced their way into the building. Diaz says the presence of the officers during the chaos was not consistent with values promoted by his agency. Como's Tammy Mutasa is following this story. We'll have much more coming up on Como News at 4 o'clock.
Molly, Chief Diaz says the 2 former officers crossed the line between freedom of speech and trespassing, and investigators say they tried to downplay their role at the insurrection, but actually it is unbelievable that they didn't know it was going on. I also just talked to the union president, and he says this case is politicized. Investigators say the 2 former SPD officers, Alexander and Caitlin Everett, were photographed standing right next to the U.S. Capitol building as the January 6th siege was taking place. The Office of Police Accountability told us they won't be releasing that photograph. But according to this image from SPD, the Everetts crossed the outdoor barriers established by the Capitol Police, highlighted in yellow. The red circle shows where the FBI photograph placed the pair, inside the fencing next to the Capitol. According to their disciplinary action report, the former officers told OPA investigators they never saw any signs of violence. Yet police say the image makes it abundantly clear they were in direct view of rioters scaling the Capitol and storming the building. Investigators say there were many no trespassing signs around, despite the former officers saying they didn't know the area was prohibited. Chief Adrian Diaz said in this statement, the participation of these 2 officers in that crowd is a stain on our department and on the men and women who work every day to protect our community, serve those in need, and do so with compassion and dignity. I just talked to Seattle Police Union President Mike Solon. He believes the case is politicized with glaring holes and the officers haven't been charged.
We have people that align on the left, we have people aligned on the right, and we have people in the middle. And as a union, we have to advocate for everybody, regardless of January 6th and the sad day in our nation's history. And that's where we are.
Now, 4 other SPD officers were at that pro-Trump rally before the insurrection, but police accountability investigators found inconclusive evidence of their involvement. Back to you.
Tammy, do you know if the U.S. Attorney's Office will be filing any charges if the FBI says they do have evidence of those officers trespassing?
Yeah, Molly, I did reach out to the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. They will be in charge of making those charging decisions. And the spokesperson told me that they actually have no comment about this particular case. They referred me to a database of all the charge cases, and so far, none of the officers have been charged. Back to you.
Tammy, thank you. A man from Puyallup is now waiting to learn what his punishment will be for his actions at the January 6th riot. Today, 28-year-old Devlin Thompson pleaded guilty to assaulting a police officer during that riot. Thompson faces up to 20 years in prison and a fine up to $250,000. He'll be sentenced in September. Thompson is among the first people charged in the riot to plead guilty.
All right, so I have a bong hit ready. If anybody like to join me in a puff, I will be doing so momentarily. Just need a second to cool off. Now, I think, again, this insurrection story, even more so, the police that have participated in the, January 6th protest, anybody else who participates in it is considered to be an insurrection. But when the police do it, they're the good guys. Again, when we see cops in plain clothes in a protest, more than 90% of the time, they are provocateurs. They are there to start something bad. Like I said, I posted a video of a cop in the middle of a protest in Canada, and he takes a rock and he throws it right at the other cops. He's in plain clothes, and thank goodness it was shown who he really was. And we've seen lots of other stories like that. I'm a puff here. So nice. Okay, so where were we? We were talking about, right, cannabis. Okay, so for those of you who somehow thinks that cannabis is the devil's weed, we should be really clear. We should have like a starting place, to understand the devil's weed. So let's start with the Bible. Right at the beginning of the Bible, it says, God said, "See, I have given you every seed-bearing plant that is upon all the earth, and every tree that has seed-bearing fruit. They shall be yours for food." Okay? This is what it says right at the beginning of the Bible. So all you people who want to say, oh, that's the Satan's weed. Anybody who knows cannabis understands she is just about the most seed-bearing plant on the planet. God said, "See, I give you every seed-bearing plant that is upon all the earth." It says, "They shall be yours for food." Okay, this is so. I have this thing. I really think that a lot of these people who think that they're Christian seem very confused. Seem very confused about what that means. I'm just saying. And you can call yourself whatever you like. I personally do not like the labels. The labels are very, it's this thing. It's like when you label yourself a conservative or left or right or whatever it is, whatever label you attach to you, you kind of paint yourself into a corner, right? I'm one of these. This is who I am. But that's not who you are. You're this able to move any direction at any given moment, free thinking, free-willed, unless, of course, you paint yourself into a corner, right? Which is, again, these labels. This is again, what happens when you put labels on someone else. Not necessarily you, but anyone, when they put a label on someone. Mostly the reason that they do it, especially with the negative labels, is so that they can just completely ignore what they say. Oh, they're one of those. They're a leftist. They're a righty. They're a conspiracy theorist. Whatever. There's a bazillion fucking labels. And I would recommend that you don't attach any of them to yourself. None. Because you will paint yourself, you will limit what you can do, because I'm one of these, so I don't do that. Well, you can do it though. If you believe in freedom, I hear these people who say that they believe in freedom, and then they want to talk about shutting down the Republicans. Oh, well, don't you think the Democrats are just as bad? Well, they're almost as bad. And then they're shutting down Republicans from doing stuff. Same thing with Republicans. Doesn't matter. If you are about freedom, then you want these people to be able to make up their own minds. You're happy that they're able to make up their own minds. You want to encourage them to be free to do what they want, as opposed to somehow you being offended by who they are, if you believe in freedom. I'm okay, you're okay. I brought up this I'm okay, you're okay thing. It was I set late 70s, 80s, early 80s, this I'm okay, you're okay. It might even be before that. It might have been mid 70s, early 70s. There was, a lot of this, like, I forget how it's 1 minute philosophy, kind of thing, where you kind of understand yourself and the place in the world by simply doing catchphrases like, I'm okay, you're okay, I don't judge me and I don't judge you. I know I'm not the greatest and you're not the greatest, but I'm okay. I know that. And I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt that you're okay too. So, and if we could just kind of reach that place instead of like, oh, they're one of those, oh, they're one of those. We're never going to get anywhere. This is all programmed too. This is all absolutely 100% programming. You never hear anyone talk like this, this I'm okay, you're okay thing anymore. That is not the society that we live in anymore. It's like, I'm the best, and I'm going to judge all the rest of you negatively that aren't in my little clique because I love freedom. And, it's just weird, like I said, it's programmed. It's not who we are. Who we are is whoever my neighbor is who my neighbor is, and I'm here to help them up. If you fall down, I will reach out to give you a hand to help you get back up. That's what it means to be human, really. And this is the last thing that they want. They don't want you to be that person. Like I've said again and again, don't buy into the hyped up fear, because what they want more than anything is for you to be afraid. Because if you're afraid, they got you. They got you, baby. Because then they're the strong leadership that you're looking for. I'm afraid. I don't know what to do next because I'm afraid. This is what fear makes, adding fear to your life. This is what it does to you. It's like, I don't know what to do next. But you do, and you would, if you didn't have this programmed in, hyped up fear. You know what to do. You take care of business. You go from one thing to the next that you need to take care of. And you probably take, more time if you weren't afraid. If you didn't have the fear within you, you'd probably take more time just to relax and enjoy life. Would be my guess. And it would be much easier for you to do that, which would be most likely why you would do it, because you don't have the fear. You're not afraid of whatever might limit you from just relaxing and enjoying a minute. Because if you're really afraid, how much can you relax and enjoy that moment? And it's all fucking programmed to bullshit, in order to keep us from coming together, mostly. But also it does this thing where when you're afraid, you don't know what to do, so you turn to strong leadership. Like the strong leadership we have in the White House right now, the bold leadership that's moving us forward into a 21st century that will be wonder-filled and amazing for everyone. Not just the rich people. But that's what I'm saying. If you have the fear in you, this is, again, partially why they want you programmed to be afraid, which also I would like to point out is that they talk about national security all the time. National security. We have to do this because of national security. We have to do that. Meanwhile, they are doing everything they can to program the fear into you, okay? And if you're not afraid, then you might not be so concerned about national security, you know? If you are afraid, if you're very afraid, then you're really glad that you have these people that are constantly focused on national security. And whatever those people need, we should give it to them. If they need to spy on every single American, that's what they need to do, people. Speaking of which, I have a video about an update for an iPhone, a recent update, or one that's coming. But it says that they are going to spy on every single video and every single photo that you have. The iPhone, Apple, Macintosh people. They are going to literally spy on every single photo and video that you have on your phone. Like I've been saying again and again and again, every single picture your 12-year-old daughter takes with her phone goes into a file with her name on it. Or 15 or 14 or 13 or 16. Every single video she takes, every text message she sends, or your 15-year-old son. You know, everyone. Now the companies themselves are telling us, letting us know that, not that they have been spying, they would not have done that without telling us. But now they're letting us know that they will be reviewing every single image. I don't own an iPhone. I don't own shit. I literally do not own shit. But actually, I have a couple of nice grow tents, and I have a couple of nice grow lights, and I have a lot of genetics, nice genetics. But I don't really own anything, you know. And I'm not really, you know, I keep thinking about what it is that I want. You know, I keep thinking about that a lot. I keep thinking, what is it that you want? And I just keep coming back to the same thing, you know. I want to write a book. I want to write a TV show. I want to write, I have an idea for 2 books. I have an idea for 1 TV show, 1 movie, and 1 Broadway musical that I'm currently reviewing in my head over and over again. And and these are the kind of things that you do when you're not afraid. You know? When you're afraid, you're too distracted, you're too concerned, you're too focused, tunnel vision on, you know, whatever it is that might, you know, mess up our thing. But when you're not, and there's other stuff too, it makes you vulnerable in other ways. So like I said, you turn to strong leadership, right? But not only that, when you're afraid, like one of these things that I've noticed about like car ads, let's say, you know, on television when they play an ad for the 2022 family SUV thing, right? A lot of times it's like all rainy and stormy outside, and then everybody gets into the new car, you know, and rainy and stormy outside is scary. And when they get into the new car, like the sun comes out and they're driving and everybody's happy and singing. So they take your fear and they go, if you only had a new van, maybe you could feel a little less afraid. You'd feel like, hey, the sun is shining on my face. Maybe I'll sing. And all your kids will be so happy. And this is a kind of programming. And again, when you're watching videos, right, on TV, watching movies, I've explained this before, but your mind goes into this state where it it believes that whatever's going on is going on around you. This is why people cry at movies. This is why people jump when something scary happens. Because they actually, their mind is making them believe that it's going on around them. This is, I used to play Halo video games, right? And there would be grenades. And I would play in a office chair, you know, with casters with rolling feet on the bottom, and a grenade would fall. Someone would throw a grenade, and it would fall right in front of me, and I would literally push the chair back, like, and it would roll across the room. And I used to use, when I used to play, I'd use like a wired controller. Nobody knows what that is anymore, but you'd have a controller that was connected to the Xbox, and I'd push. I literally pull the controller out of the thing, because again, my brain is believing that I'm in this thing where I'm interacting with these beings, and here's this thing in front of me, and I need to react now. And I, you know, this is what I'm saying. It's very fascinating. So when you are watching your TV show, your soap operas, your comedies, your movies, right? Your brain kind of does this thing where it opens up and it says, "Oh, okay, look, these images are real, and I'm experiencing this," and you know that's why you're tearing up, and or you're afraid, you're waiting for something to happen because you're experiencing that. So when you have this thing with the phone, right? Do you blame other people for being afraid of things don't look so good these days? You know what? I don't fear for me. I don't have the fear for me. I mean, I'm out of money. I had to apply for food stamps last week. I haven't paid my rent. I'm $100 behind last month's rent, and haven't paid this month's rent yet. I don't have the fear for that, you know. I just, whatever happens, you know. And I have the best landlord on the planet, so. But you know, I was talking about the television and opening up, you know, and then this ad comes on, right? And again, it has this tense music in the beginning, and it has the clouds and the thunder, and then you get into the new van and so you're in this state where your mind is open, right? And they say, "Oh, look, if you had this van, maybe you'd have sunny days, and your kids would be happy, and you'd feel so much less afraid." So this programming, it goes on forever, and the fear thing is all programmed. There's no need to be afraid, you know. Whatever's going to happen next, you don't know, you know. I don't know what's going to happen next. I honestly believe, you know, that there's a chance people could somehow all of a sudden begin evolving and realizing that we don't have to be afraid, that there's nothing to be afraid of except for what these governments are doing to human beings. What they're doing is they're turning them into huddled masses that are terrified. We don't have to be huddled. Actually, they're not huddled masses. They're all separated in their little fucking boxes, and they're cowering. You know, "Oh, I don't cower. I have an AR-15 and an assault shotgun." Okay, well, you know, if you're not afraid, then why do you have those things? Because I've talked many times about how I don't want a gun. I do not want a gun. And it's not because I'm afraid of guns. It's because I grew up with guns. You know, I've shot over 100 different guns. Thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds. I don't like what guns do, you know, and I don't ever want to have to use a gun for what it's designed to do. So that way, the one way that I can make sure that doesn't happen is if I don't have a gun. So, and when I was 15, I've told you guys, I got my first gun when I was 9 for my birthday. It was a 22 caliber rifle. And I got my second gun, 22 caliber revolver, when I was on my 10th birthday. And by the time I was 12, I was sleeping with the 357 under my pillow, trained to shoot dead center until the gun was empty, no more bullets. And at that point, there was extra bullets in the nightstand right next to the bed. And I was to reload and prepare for whatever was next. So again, I'm not afraid of guns. I've trained with guns. I don't want anything to do with guns. So, if Russia was invading, right? I have friends who have guns. It's a thing. It's America. Second Amendment. Hoorah! And my dad was big. Like I said, there was probably 300 guns in my dad's house. And the majority of them were loaded and had one in the chamber. Because he always said, if they're not loaded, they're a paperweight. And that makes sense. So, but again, I don't want that. I consider myself to be a holy man. For me to use an instrument of death like that would be, kind of not right. I don't know how to put it. I don't want to say a sin, but it would be kind of violating who I am. Unless of course we're being invaded, and then I would be, doing the best to protect my neighbors. Myself, I'm not overly concerned with, which again is why I could step up to try and protect my neighbors, because it's not a big deal, man. I've other than writing my books, writing my TV shows, writing my movies, writing my musical, my Broadway musical. Other than that, I have done my job here, and I am paid in full. My ticket is paid in full, baby. I get to go all the way home. So I'm not really concerned about if I leave the planet with writing my book, because I don't want to write a book to make money. I don't want to do a TV show to make money. I don't give a fuck about money. I really would like it if I just never had to think about money ever again. Somehow, in Denmark they make it so that artists have what they need, a place to live. They buy their paintings, or their works, their writings, and they make sure that they have enough money to live on, and that is so freaking awesome, because I think that the input, well, it's like I've said, the art is one of these things that humans do, that and it's not just that they do it, right? It's that everything about humans and what their activities almost is like art, right? The clothing that you wear, the food that you eat, so much of it can be art, the music that we listen to, the cars that we drive. These things are all art. Even when we're little, we're doing color crayons and Play-Doh and stuff like that. That's not a toy. That's somehow creating things, and that's really who we are. And it's so strange that we become so separate from that as we mature. And I think it's all programming. I think I think, like I said, I think that schools are completely messed up. They should be teaching gardening. They should be teaching empathy. Empathy should be something that you learn from kindergarten until your 12th grade, at least. And then if you want to study it in higher education, there should be complete degrees available on empathy. You know, there's degrees available on philosophy, there's degrees available on art. You know, empathy should be one of the most important things on the planet. You know, if we had empathy, the Amazon forest would not be, you know, shriveling up and going away at a pace never ever imagined. You know, all the forests, if we had empathy, all the little creatures of the world that are being mass extinct right now, mass extinction that's going on, if we had empathy, that would not be happening. So, and this is probably why they don't teach things like this in school, you know, is because they want you just to be this clog in the machine. They say, oh, well, you need to learn this. You need to learn math. You need to learn all these little things that you need to learn in order to be able to function in our society. You know, I think people need to learn gardening. I think people need to learn empathy. People need to learn art. Like I said, art is one of these things that's like, art should probably be required classes one way or another, you know, music or painting or writing or whatever it is. You know, web design. Yeah, that's even you know, web pages are art, you know, big time art. And everything we do. I have a friend whose sister is making incredible amounts of money by taking these stainless steel cups, and she like mosaics them or something. She puts some kind of art on them, and she buys them for $5 and sells them for 80, you know. Because that's who we are. We love art. Not only are we these artists where everything that we do is art, we love art, you know, and we're just not taught these things about ourselves. And I don't understand why. I do understand why. Because if you understand, if you get it, if you get who humans are, and you have empathy for everything around you, and you're trying to make positive things happen in the world, you're most likely not going to be terrified. What they want is, again, for you to live in never-ending constant fear. Because then you have to turn to strong leadership, and you don't know what to do, so you have to turn to strong leadership, and they'll help keep you safe. Don't worry. Or not. Okay, so it's a call-in show. The telephone number's right there. In case you haven't noticed, is 805-669-6397. Thanks so much to everyone for tuning in. It looks like I owe Jackie Cat a dab, and I owe Jen. Hey, Niffer. I owe Niffer a bong, a dab too, and that brings our grand total so far this evening to a whopping $15. If we get to $50, we will give away the lovely Subway gift card to the 5th caller. Because that's always fun. I really actually enjoy doing that. So I'll be back with a fat dab for Niffer. And until then, let's see. I have a video about, let's see. Let's see. Teaching kids about cops. This is probably another thing that people should be taught. In this video, they act as if the way, you know, teaching kids about cops is a very negative thing. In our current world, in our current over-intrusive, comply or die police state, I think if you don't teach your kids about cops, you are is so dangerous. So dangerous. You have to teach your kids about who the police are. And one of the main things you need to teach them is that they're not the good guys. They're professional liars, and that they will tell you whatever they think you want to hear in order. And the reason I say this is because we've seen the cops just in the last few months pepper spray a handcuffed 9-year-old girl, right? She's in the back of a police car. She won't put her feet into the car. 9 years old, handcuffed, hands behind her back. 6 giant cops there. 6 giant cops, right? 9-year-old girl, handcuffed. They pepper spray her 1 inch from her face. Pepper sprayer, chemical weapon used on a 9-year-old girl. Again, cops, trainer cops are being sent to Israel to be trained on how to train your local police departments, your local cops. And this is what we're getting out of it. And I don't understand why some bullshit foreign fucking piece of garbage country is training our local police officers. Okay? I don't get that, and I don't like it, and it needs to stop. Hello, caller.
Michael, hate some service.
What's up, P?
Hey, what's up, dude?
I am doing this thing that I do. What's up with you? You got the weekend off?
Of course, yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, I apologize for the other night when Blackout Pete called.
Oh, well, that's no problem, dude. You're always welcome. And
I don't like when Blackout Pete calls. Drunk Pete's okay, but Blackout Pete's not cool.
I was honestly concerned.
He's not as cool of a guy. He's not very responsive.
I was just concerned because your sign out wasn't as as bold as usual. It was very withdrawn.
I'm sure it wasn't great because I have zero recollection of whatever it might have been.
Well, you just didn't do your usual sign out, and I was like, I hope he's okay.
Oh, I just said bye. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
No one likes that. That's fucking lame.
So, what's up? You got plans for the weekend?
Nah, bro.
All right.
I did have some shit that I wanted to talk about, but yeah, it's going to be, bro, I mean, it couldn't be any nicer this weekend.
Right on.
But I'm actually moving. I'm actually going to be moving.
Oh, well, you do have plans then.
Yeah, bro, I'm moving out to Massachusetts, IA.
Congratulations. What town did you find a place at?
If anyone gives a fuck, it's a place in Massachusetts by the name of Maynard. Maynard, Massachusetts. No, it's not named after the fucking guy from Tool.
Didn't you say that you were looking there? You were looking there, and the first place you found you didn't like, right? Same place, huh? Same area?
No, that was a place in Winchester.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Maynard.
Winchester, Massachusetts, which is like a rich bedroom community of Boston.
Well, so are you just going to be busting ass all weekend, or are you going to be able to take a minute and watch a movie? I got a movie recommendation for you.
Oh, yeah? Hit me, brother.
You said you got the HBO Max, right?
Yes.
The new Suicide Squad movie is on the HBO Max. They released it last night, and it was directed by the same guy who directed the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Do you know those movies?
Okay, I do like. Now here's the thing: I don't like a lot of Marvel movies, but I do like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, well, it's the same guy, so he has a lot of action movie kind of thing, and there's a guy in there named Polka Dot Man, and he's so fucking funny, dude. I mean, that character is just like hilarious. So, if you get a chance, I thought it was worthy to watch. It's a little bit long. It's like 2 hours and 5 minutes, but I found it very entertaining. And it's available on the HBO Max.
They just make so many movies, and so many of them stink.
Oh yeah.
They do come out with a gem every now and then. So
well, I wouldn't call it a masterpiece or anything. Although I would call Nobody a masterpiece. You watched that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I really love that movie.
Shout out Craig. You're there, buddy.
Yeah.
For that fucking free movie that we're probably breaking copyright law.
Hey, enough. We're pirates. We don't go into details. Pirates don't go into details. They take what they want.
In my mouth right now.
They take what they want. They don't have to tell anybody anything. All my friends are pirates, in case you guys don't know. So, you find some good smoke?
Yeah, I was just about to take a fucking ripper, if you don't mind.
That does sound pretty good. I gotta heat up the bond and do one myself. I owe two. I owe one to Niffer and one to the wonderful Jackie Cat. Uh-oh. And I owe one to Don D. I owe one to Don D, too, who already gave a donation this week. What's that?
No, you better start packing.
I gotta get with the fucking program, man. I am gonna be wasted here any minute.
Up. You gotta fucking get on that.
I gotta catch the fuck up.
It's Friday night, dog. You gotta get down.
I'm working on it. I was just about to take one, and then you called. So, you got to take a lot of trips back and forth. You got a U-Haul, or what's going on?
I'm hiring movers this time, dog.
Oh, right on.
Shit. I already moved in and out twice.
Upscale.
I told you what happened when I moved into that fucking Roach Motel.
Yeah.
And I got the fuck out of there. So I pretty much moved in one day and then had to move out the next day. Yeah, so I ain't moving no more. I don't care how much I fucking pay. I'm hiring fucking movers.
That's really good, dude. I one of the things moving, it's very stressful. You know, they say stress is the big killer. Moving, they say, actually takes years off your life. So the less stressed you can make it, the better off you are, bro.
That I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, because me and my buddy did it the first time. We're both like in our 30s, early 30s. And then I was like, dude, my buddy was the one who was like, dude, there's roaches in here. Like, we shouldn't keep moving in here. And I didn't listen to him for whatever reason because I'm a fucking idiot. And then I ended up having to fucking call my poor father, who's 70 years old. My dad's 70 years old. And he came and fucking picked that couch up and hauled that shit out. And I was worried too, because I'm like, I'm having my 70-year-old father fucking do this shit. He's gonna fucking drop dead. He's gonna, God forbid, he fucking has a heart attack or some shit. But he's worked construction. He's been like a carpenter his whole life. So he's like, he's probably gonna outlive me. You know, he's
like a horse. That's what they do.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
He if you looked at him, you would think he was like probably in his early 60s, but he's a tough fucking guy.
Yeah. Good.
And pulled me out of that shit. So I told my buddy, like, you gotta help me get out of here. He's like, nah, hell no, bro. That shit's too much. Dude, moving depletes you. I had to do that shit twice. Fuck that.
Yeah, no. I hear you. Like I said, it's incredibly stressful. And you know, you try and tell people, look, just take your time. This is super stressful, and they can't. Everything's like, we gotta do this, we gotta do it. You know, so that doesn't work. That's bad. That's very dangerous for you. Hey, Pete, I gotta take a break, dude. So it's really good to hear from you. Don't stress out. You know, take your time. Are you gonna make some gummies soon?
Yeah, I got all my gear ready.
Excellent.
I got my decarb oven. I got my infuser. I got all my equipment ready to go.
I got it all, baby. Well, what's the holdup, man?
I just haven't had time.
Yeah.
I just now that it's the weekend, I'm gonna fucking turn it up.
Are you making friends at the new job yet?
8 hours, dude. Huh?
Are you making friends at the new job yet?
Of course, bro. You know me.
You said like one of your good friends worked there already, right?
I have many friends that already work there.
Oh, awesome. That's really cool,
me, dog. Everyone likes me, but Killer Mike.
You hated everybody. You worked at the last job, dude. At least that's what you told me.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Everyone liked me except for one guy, and everyone hated one guy who made everybody quit. That's incorrect information, Mike.
Okay.
I'm the most likable person ever.
I didn't say they didn't like you. I said you didn't like them.
I don't like a lot of people.
Well, for a very likable guy, you should try harder.
All right, cocksucker. Have a good night.
Hey,
Take a deep bong rip for me. You owe me.
Okay, I'll get you a good one soon.
Hello, everybody. Take care.
Okay, talk to you
Hey,
soon.
hola.
Glad to hear from you.
Believe him.
He's a little garbled tonight, too. I don't know what was going on with his phone. But, okay, so here's what I want to do. I'm going to go heat up my tea, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to have a fat dab for Niffer. And if you'd like me to do a dab for you, it is Dabs for Donations Friday. There's clickable links in the text body of the video. But I got to catch up, because I owe Niffer a dab, and I owe Jackie Cat, the wonderful Jackie Cat, who gives every day a fat dab. And I owe Don D a fat dab, who has already donated once this week. Don D, thank you. Be right back, and we'll have a fat dab, and then we'll try and have another fat dab. And then another one. Won't that be interesting? All right, let's see. Oh, I have a wonderful video here about the International Space Station and how, oh no, I was talking about cops. I was going to play the cops, teaching kids about cops. I think we'll do that one first, and then we'll do the International Space Station one very shortly. No, I'm going to do the International Space Station one first, okay? This is the international, no, I'm going to do the cops one. We'll come back to the other one. Okay. Not Seattle cops. Where is it? Oh, teaching children about cops in school. This is actually a really important thing to do for children, in my opinion. You have to be extremely honest. You have to tell children that cops are professional liars. Cops will hurt you. Cops are dangerous. Do not just trust police officers. If you need help, you know, you can ask for help. Yeah, but don't just act like they're good, like there are people there that are, you know, there to protect you, because that's not the way it works out again and again and again. And that's probably partially because kids aren't trained to tell, you know, to know that cops are incredibly dangerous, like a rabid dog. So here we go, teaching children about police officers.
News alert to begin a brand new hour, though, in cities across the country fearing another bloody weekend during a summer marked by violent crime. Yet some on the left are still pushing to defund the police, even aiming their anti-cop message at kids. A Virginia elementary school now backtracking after its website shared a video that suggests police put children in danger. Fox News correspondent at large Geraldo Rivera joins us now. Geraldo, good to see you on this Friday afternoon. And just to tee this up for the folks at home, let's play a little bit of that video that was shared here by the Fairfax County Public School.
I feel safe when there are no police. And it's no one's job to tell me how I feel.
So this video was being aimed at kindergartners at Bailey's Elementary School for the Arts and Sciences in Falls Church, Virginia, not far away from where I live, along with other content related to critical race theory. Your thoughts about this?
You know, when you go after kids so young, so tender, so vulnerable, so impressionable, I really think that it is a reckless and exploitive act. That whatever your politics, leave the kids out of it. And when you bring it into a school and the child sees it in the same context as he or she sees their regular lessons, and they get that inculcated in their little impressionable minds that the cops are bad. You know, when I grew up, it was exactly the opposite. We extolled the virtue of the cop on the corner, the friendly cop. In those days, the cops used to actually come around and talk to the kids. And there was a sense that, like a parent almost, like a surrogate, you could rely on the cop on the beat. The cop was your friend. This is exactly the opposite message. And I really lament and look at this with great alarm. I think that a lot of the critical race theory phobia may be overblown. But when you see an example, a concrete example like this, where a child is being propagandized, it is deeply upsetting, John.
Right. People in some communities, Geraldo, would likely quibble with you on that. I mean, I remember the same thing as you do when I was a child, but for people in certain communities, certainly they have a different view of policing. But to this idea that this was on the website, Fairfax County Public Schools said, well, we don't know why that's on the website. We're taking it down. That's exactly the same thing the White House said about that link to the Abolitionist Teaching Network being on the plan from the Department of Education to reopen schools. It's like people are putting this stuff in there on purpose.
Exactly, and that was the point. I didn't mean to interrupt. That is exactly what we must be vigilant against, where people say, oh, no, that's not me. I didn't put it on there. I had no idea. And it's there, and it's in black and white, and it's an extremely distressing message. And it's unfair. It really is. It's taking some of the prerogatives of a parent and substituting a propagandist. And it is, in that regard, alarming. I don't mean to overstate it. It's not going to change the world. Little Johnny and Jane are not going to go home and look at a cop and say some disparaging remark. I don't want to overstate it. But somebody put it in there. Somebody knew they were putting it in there. Somebody had a purpose, a motive to put it in there. And I think that these things have to stop right now, John.
I want to talk to you about another controversy that's brewing today. This is Congresswoman Cori Bush and her response to reports that she spent $70,000 on private security. Listen to what she said.
So if I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, you know what? I get to be here to do the work. So suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen.
Suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen. That soundbite, I think, is going to be in every Republican member of Congress's campaign ads next year.
Sure. And the bitter irony, John, is she represents St. Louis. St. Louis is the murder capital of the nation per capita. It is the murder capital. St. Louis, not Chicago and some of the other cities you hear more about, more notoriety. It is St. Louis. And here is an elected representative who has a lot of aspects that I find admirable. I love her flamboyance. I love the fact that she slept on the Capitol steps to get the CDC to extend the moratorium on evictions. I like, her spirit, her spunk. But here is a person who is representing a besieged community, a community where the streets are running red with blood. Her constituents are killing each other. They need cops in St. Louis, perhaps more than almost any other place in the nation. Yeah. And for her to have that attitude, you have to know about Cori Bush, though. For all the things I find admirable, she's also wacky. She wanted to, at some point, to defund the military, the United States military. It's not just the cops she wanted to defund. And to do that, she comes from out of that Ferguson protest, all that tumult. Michael Brown and, hands up, don't shoot, all that. She really was the architect of that. And her arc, she upset a 10 or 11 turn Congress person to win that seat. And she won it decisively, despite the fact that President Trump, carried Missouri so well. So what she's doing, though, is the hypocrite is, don't do as I do, do as I say. I don't want you to have cops, but I have cops to protect me. I mean, where does that go?
And the White House and other Democrats are running away from her as fast as they can now after what she said. Geraldo, have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Thank you, John. All right, buddy.
All right, so I'm heating up the bong. I think this thing where they talk about how, you know, the Congress people are paying for security, but they don't want you to have security. I think the Congress people do want you to have security, and that when they're saying defund the police, what they're saying is the police aren't doing their job. They're not making the streets safer. And this is one of the things I talk about, you know, the for-profit medical industrial complex. The for-profit medical industrial complex needs 6 people in order to make a profit. It is a for-profit medical industrial complex. Okay? The police need criminals. The CIA needs terrorists. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security need domestic terrorists. So this is why the FBI goes, oh, we knew about this person. This person was on our radar. We actually had an interview with this person. And then this person fucking blows up a damn fucking bomb on Christmas Day in the middle of fucking Nashville. Okay, so, oh, we knew about these people. They knew about the Boston bomber, right? The Boston bomber went to, they knew that he'd gone to a terrorist training camp in Ukraine or something like that. You know, they know about these people. But if these people actually are able to make these things happen, the police budget goes up. The FBI budget goes up. Why? Because we have terrorists in this country. Didn't you just see that bomb go off in downtown Nashville? Come on, people, get with the program. And so, again, conflict of interest. Just like for-profit medicine. There's a massive conflict of interest there because in order to make profit, they need sick people. But that's not what medicine is supposed to be about. They're not supposed to create sick people. They're supposed to help people. They're supposed to make a world where there are no sick people, or very, very few. And that's not what I see happening. This dab right here is for Niffer. Thanks, Niffer. That was nice. Thank you, Nipper. I have one coming up for Jackie Cat and one for Dandy Dawn. And I'm sorry, Dawn D. And if you'd like me to do a bong hit for you, it's easy to make a contribution. It is Dabs for Donations Friday, and I'd love to do a donation or a dab for you, because I think it could get quite interesting if I was to do a couple more. I already have a couple more. So we better get on them. Where were we? We're talking about cops and making it so that kids know that cops are not, they're not your friend. You know, I hate that. It's, again, I do not want to be, I don't want to look at the cops like they're the bad guys. I really don't. I don't see how they give us any other option. You know, I wish that they did. I wish that it was safe for kids when the cops were around. I really do. They don't see kids that way. They don't see kids as, I don't know, I don't see them as wanting to protect anything. It's like I was saying about the FBI. You know, they're not they're not protecting us. What they're doing is they're going in after an event happens. They go in. A couple months ago, last month, I played a video for you where the FBI set up all these people to be patsies. They paid them, they trained, they paid for motels, they paid for food. Hello, caller.
Hey, what's up, man? I just called you not too long ago.
Right on. What's your name?
Brendan.
Oh, I thought you said Austin. I don't know why I thought
no. Oh, it's all good, man. That looks like a killer hit, too.
That was a good one.
I just gotta say, dude, like, this is, like, super awesome, like, the stuff you're advocating for. And, like, I agree with what you said about, like, the police. It sucks that we have to look at them in, like, almost a fearful way. Like, it'd be nice if they still had, like, the sense of community.
Yeah, I agree. It would be really nice if it still said on their cars to serve and protect, which it no longer says. And if which is a terrible thing, because if that's what you're teaching your kids, that's who they are, to serve and protect, that would be fantastic if it were true. They're the ones who took it off the cars. We didn't all go, hey, we need to defund these motherfuckers because they're not serving and protecting. Somebody needs to remove that from their fucking cars. We didn't do that. The cops themselves took that off the cars. Okay? That should tell you all something.
Exactly. And you know what? It's the issue is these damn police unions just protecting the bad cops and letting them get away with literal murder. It's terrible.
Yeah. It's not just the police unions that are protecting them. I mean, the way I see it, all the other cops are protecting them too, because because the other cops know who the bad cops are, and they don't do anything. It's like did you see the video from Miami the other day with there was 20 cops and they're all taking turns kicking this guy in the head who's handcuffed and on the ground? You know, you would think there would be one fucking cop that is decent enough to go, okay, enough, and push people back. None of them fucking did that. They all let them take their fucking turns. One of them was a cop trainer that walked up and kicked the guy in the head when he's on the ground handcuffed.
It's truly despicable how they just get away with this shit. And if someone comes forward and is like, hey, I think this guy is way too relentless and is being a fucking asshole and brutal and violent to these people, what they do is they punish the person for bringing it up.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
Yeah. It's totally fucked up. And it's like there's no accountability with police at all. You know, and that's what I'm saying about these 20 cops that were surrounding this guy on the ground and all taking turns kicking him in the head. Number one, they knew that there was a person standing right there filming him. And number two, there's cameras everywhere. They know that too. They have no problem. You know, basically they were on the verge of murdering this guy. Okay, again, they're all wearing steel-toe boots. And they wear them so that when they kick you in the knee, it's not just a kick, it fucking has the potential to completely fucking break everything in your leg. And same thing with your skull. You know, and it's fucking bullshit that these are the people that are supposed to be protecting you and your children.
Exactly. It's so many of my goddamn tax dollars go to paying these motherfuckers just to be like, oh, hey, you got a little bit of weed on you? Cool. Let me kick you in the fucking skull and throw you in a cage for the rest of your life. It's fucked up. And like you said, there's zero accountability for this shit. I mean, look at fucking Derek Chauvin. What, 20 years for killing someone? That's nowhere near enough. There are people who literally just have a little bit of fucking drugs on them. And they get light. It's so fucked up.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that Chauvin didn't get basically what he deserved. I hope that he has a really hard time in prison, and then he will kind of get what he deserved. He's a horrible human being, and I'm not trying to make any excuses for him. They gave him 20 years. You know, I don't think your average killer gets 20 years. I don't know. But the thing is that these cops are everywhere on every fucking police department, and like I say, all the other cops know who the bad ones are. They know who's going to go out on that day and hurt someone. They know who's going to do that, and it's all good with them. They don't say anything. They don't do anything. They just, and I don't think you can go to the higher ups in the police department. You need to go on the YouTube, and you need to say, all these cops are dirty, and these are the crimes that they've all done, and they all do drugs, and they all fucking get prostitutes to give them head while they're, parked in the fucking back lot or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just this endless fucking list. And but there's some really dirty shit that goes on, and these cops could put it on the YouTube and say all the people in this fucking department are like this, and it's not, at that point it's not cover-upable, and it would be really interesting to see what happened at that point, but because it would go viral fairly quickly also, I believe.
I believe it would too, and I don't want to tie up the line for too long, so I'll end it here. But let me tell you, I'm a first-time viewer and first-time caller, and I'm gonna say I'm glad I called in. I'm definitely gonna subscribe. Love the message you're preaching out here, man.
Right on. Thank you very much, and I hope that you call back soon, and I hope you have a great weekend. Keep up the good work.
You as well, man. Yeah, take care.
Okay, thanks a bunch. Okay, so I believe he said his name was Brandon. I think that's what he said. That was a nice call, huh? And he sounded like a very smart guy. So, and it's not like me. I'm a really simple guy, and this thing with the serve and protect that was on the cops' cars, that's a completely different attitude. Now, what you have on the cops is you have cops who wear a badge. The badge has a badge number on it. And the cops take and they put a black band right across the badge number, okay? And they say, that's to signify cops who have fallen, right? And this should tell you what kind of cops we have in this country. Again, they use this horrible event of one of their fellow officers, expiring in the field, on the job. Right? And not just one, all of them. That's what the black fucking ribbon symbolizes, is all the cops, and they could put some little badge on them. They could do almost anything that symbolizes all the cops who fell. But what they do is they take that incredible sentiment and they use it to fucking cover up their ID number. So how dare you question them covering up their ID number? They want everyone to see that they care about all their fallen officers. No, you're using them to fucking be dirty pieces of shit and not be identifiable. Okay? This shit, we're talking about when it said serve and protect on the cop cars. I don't know how long ago that was. I don't know when it stopped. My guess is right around, let's say, October 2001, something like that. It might have started just a little bit before that, but my guess is it started right about then. Again, this thing where they cover up their badge numbers, when the cars said to serve and protect, I guarantee you that never went on. Not that they didn't, every once in a while for whatever reason, if they were at some large anti-war protest or something, maybe. I don't know, honestly. But what I do know is it wasn't a regular, every single cop in this fucking country covering up their badge number like they do now. And they use the excuse of remembering their fallen comrades. It's disgusting that that's who police officers are. It's disgusting. You should be ashamed, and you should look. Like I said, if you can deal with cops as individuals, just like every other individual on the planet. I'll take a person one-to-one, you know, and judge them not until I know, you know, I've interacted with them, you know. But at the same time, you have to realize that cops can be basically just collecting information. And I've had a couple interactions with cops, you know, more than a couple. I remember, but in Seattle, it's always been very odd for me, especially with the cops. They all know who I am, and I remember, I was walking down the street smoking a joint, and the cops pulled up to the stoplight in front of the crosswalk, and I was getting ready to cross the street, and they pulled into the crosswalk, and I had a lit joint in my hand, and they go, "Is that good weed, Mike?" And I said, "Dude, it's Seattle. It's all good weed." And they laughed and drove off. So it's, you know, as individuals, again, as individuals, but at the same time, when they're in a group, like the Miami video, where you saw all the cops there, and they each were taking turns kicking that kid in the head, some of them repeatedly, 3, 4, 5 times, it looked like to me. I should go find that video and play it for you again. It was horrific, and it was disgusting that none of those other cops were like, hey, back off, enough already, enough. You know, you would think one of them would be a good cop, right? But when they're in this group like that, that's what I'm saying, as individuals, one of them might be a decent person to have to deal with, but when they're in a group like that, they're like fucking rabid hyenas, man. You know, they're just fucking disgusting. You know, it's like we watched a video of like an 80-year-old or 73-year-old woman with dementia getting tackled by the cops, right? A month or two ago, and then the cops were high-fiving and laughing about it, how they brutalized her while she sat in a jail cell. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, okay, I hear you now. Is this Mike?
Yes.
Hey, well, you're going on about cops.
No, I'm not.
And historically, I think, you know, I remember the protect and serve on all the cars, but historically, they protect and serve the upper classes, the rich people, and the corporations, and the 1%. That's who the cops have always protected.
Yeah.
And so America right now is in a kind of a state of soft fascism where the corporations run the government, literally. I mean, there's no way anybody can really escape that fact that the congressmen are bought out, the politicians are bought out, the corporations have more say than the people. We have a fake democracy, and the cops are the enforcers of this soft fascism that we have going on. And it's not pretty, it's not nice, there's a lot of problems.
Yeah, I mean, it's an endless pit of problems, and the biggest problem is, again, like with the Miami video, where, you know, there was this whole fucking herd of police officers, like 20 cops, and they're kicking this guy in the head, and nobody fucking, like, made him stop. You know, basically, what I saw was not a single decent human amongst them.
Yeah, it was a pack of animals picking on prey. That's what it was. The predators picking on prey. I saw the video. It's pretty gruesome. I hope, you know, how many times have we seen this? Hundreds of times. We've all seen stuff like this where
Rodney King was a good example right there. Just the same thing. Bunch of cops all just beating the shit out of a guy.
And that was before the internet. That was before everybody had cameras. That we were lucky to catch that one on camera, and it changed history really with all the riots and everybody in every urban city, every big city, Chicago, Detroit, New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles. They've all, especially the black people, but if you want to open up the category of poor people, because there's lots of poor white people too, and Mexicans, they've all been complaining about police brutality for a century, for literally a century. The cops have blown up city blocks, they've caused fires, they've annihilated an entire village in Oklahoma. I forget the name of it, but they annihilated this prosperous black town because rich white people told the cops to do it. I mean, the cops don't have a good history. Historically, they're criminals. So we do see some change occurring. There's constantly, now that we're in the internet age where everyone has a camera, we're constantly catching them doing these bad deeds. And those guys in that video, 20 cops kicking one guy, dreadlock Rasta, in the head, they're predators, and they have a pack mentality. It's like they're like lions tearing apart a gazelle.
I think Lions is giving them way too much credit. They're like fucking hyenas, okay?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And it's disgusting. I mean, hyenas are less disgusting than cops. So.
Yeah, hyenas are some pretty ugly looking animals, and it doesn't take much to get a human being to lose his mind or her mind and sink down to the level of an animal. But we have divinity within us. We have higher sensibilities, and we have a higher spirit within us than animals. So we're supposed to, if we're civilized, we're supposed to self-regulate, but
We're not civilized, and we do not have a higher spirit than animals. That is not true. That's programming.
well, that's your opinion. I think human beings have a higher spirit than animals. Definitely, we have higher reasoning capacity, but that's getting into philosophy. The thing is, we don't want to behave like animals. And we want to stop the cops from behaving like animals. And I do see a change in society, which is the change is the outcome of the internet age, the outcome of everyone having cell phones, everyone being able to film people freaking out in the store, some manager picking on a customer, a cop kicking a guy in the head, a false arrest. We can film all that. We can film our politicians doing bad things or saying the opposite of what they just said on TV. So things are changing, and there is hope in this world, and it's a good thing to catch these cops. Eventually, they will stop. And one way or another, they're going to stop picking on the population. But we also have to treat everyone in our lives in a decent and humane way also. Like you were talking about empathy. I caught you talking about empathy earlier. And what you saw with those cops was a lack of empathy. They dehumanized the guy. And I hope he's okay. What's his condition, do you know?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it since I played the video the other day. You know, these things, they talk about him for like 24 hours and then it's not around anymore.
Unless he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only when they die that, they keep talking about it. And then a year and a half later, there'll be a settlement. I think maybe if there's police violence and a guy is seriously injured or killed, and a year and a half later there's a settlement, then that settlement shouldn't come from the taxpayers like it always does. It should come from the police retirement fund. And if it did that, these cops they'd be kicking the shit out of the cops that committed the crimes, because it's coming directly out of their retirement fund.
I think that's the cops should be penalized in some way. This is the real problem. Is it? It just is. It's this. Like I was saying, it's not just one cop. It's not just the bad apples. It goes throughout the entire department. Otherwise, they'd be bringing these people out and saying, "Hey, this isn't who we are," and so they should have to pay. They should have to pay, and it's not just the individual. Like I said, they all know who it is. So if they policed themselves the way that they police, the communities that they want to kick the shit out of, it would be a much better police unit.
Well, a lot of these cops, they're so traumatized by their jobs, and they gave up giving a shit so long ago. They actually think, oh, we're protecting society, and we're contributing to society, and we're protecting people from the bad guys. But they are the bad guys. They became the bad guys when they gave up their own humanity. And the same mentality, gang mentality that cops have, politicians have. They protect their own. The Democrats protect the Democrats, except for Anthony, what's his face, in fucking New York City. They gave him up, man. But generally, politicians got the same gang mentality, minus the violence.
I know exactly how to fix police. I know exactly how to fix it.
Tell me.
All you have to do is that when they come in for work, they start their day with a cannabis cookie, right? And then they go out on the job, and they're like not stressed out fucking animals. They're these chill dudes and women that are like, making sure everything else is going smooth instead of, trying to add to everybody's aggravation. You know what?
If anybody,
I think that would solve at least 80% of the issues.
If anybody ever needed to take a chill pill, it would be cops, because I've seen so many stressed out cops that are just itching for battle, basically, that they attack housewives, they mouth off to people that aren't giving them any flack, they cause more trouble than they're facing. It's like a mellow personality can overcome all kinds of stupid shit, just keeping your cool. And that was not cool. That I don't know if you're going to show that video again, but it was a pretty brutal video, and it was just not cool. They dehumanized the guy.
It's beyond not cool. All of those cops are criminal, including the ones that didn't do anything. And then they go after the guy with the cell phone that's recording them. They literally threw him on the ground and started beating on him too.
This probably charged him with obstruction.
No, they dropped all the charges against him, but yeah, they charged him with something.
Yeah. Well, another day. What do you got lined up on as far as news goes?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'll just have to wait and see. But have a good weekend, Michael.
Yeah, well, I hope you have a good weekend too. So thanks a lot. It's nice to hear from you.
Take care, bro.
Okay, see ya. I have a video about cop suicides. That sounds like fun. How about we play the video about cop suicides? And I think a big part of the reason that cops are committing suicide, which I don't know how many are, but I really believe that a big part of the reason cops are committing suicide is because they went to go be a cop to make their community better. And what they find is that the other cops are dirty, and that it makes them feel horrible being part of that. and they just become more and more like, I don't want to be this. I don't want to do this. And they have nobody to turn to because all their peers are evil. And if you start saying, hey, I have this problem with this evil that we do every day, that's going to be heard by other people right away. Even if you're just telling your friend. So cop suicide, I believe, is mostly because they don't have peers that they can count on, so they keep it all in. That's kind of what men do anyways, but it doesn't mean that they're supposed to have similar experiences, so they're able to be there for each other, right? That's why they got the thing where they got to cover up the badge numbers. Come on, man, this is a brotherhood. That is so disgusting, using your fallen fucking peers to cover up your badge numbers, your ID number. That is one of the most despicable things I've ever heard of. And again, it wasn't the people who demanded that the police take to serve and protect off their cars. It was the cops that decided to take serve and protect off their cars, because that's not who they are anymore. And it's kind of disgusting, right? Okay, so I'm going to play cop suicides, and we'll come back and have a dab, and then we'll play iPhone update, in which I explain to you iPhone is now going to be scanning every single photo and every single video that you have on your phone. Every single one. I don't know about Android and Google and all that, but iPhone has just released that information, and I thought you should know, and we'll probably need to talk about it here real soon. But let's talk about cop suicides first. That sounds like fun, doesn't it?
Privacy concerns are now swirling around Apple's new plan to scan iPhones for...
January 6th, so many lies we've been told. Another one is about what happened after January 6th, that the suicides that we've seen from Capitol Hill police officers must be related to that event. There have been 4 since January 6th in that department, and time again, they say, well, that's the fault of Trump supporters. They did this, and Donald Trump himself. Blood on their hands. Now, they overlook the fact that suicide, law enforcement, it's been studied before. Generally, it's higher than the population, the civilian population, but they have found time and time again that suicides in law enforcement are not related to the job. Now, I noticed that no one said anything about the suicides in law enforcement after the defunding conversation and all the riots that we saw last summer. Chicago had 3 suicides in a short period of time. Here in New York City, 2 suicides right after the defunding talk and all the riots where anti-cop rhetoric was extreme and sometimes glorified. But back to the Capitol Hill situation, it was always about, it must have had something to do with January 6th. January 6th. Lawmakers picked that up and ran with it on the Democrat side.
Nearly 7 months after the assault on the Capitol, Washington, D.C.'s Metropolitan Police say 2 more police officers who responded to the riot recently died by suicide.
It's clear, at least to me, that when you have 4 officers from 2 different departments, Washington Metropolitan Police and the Capitol Police, who are experiencing death by suicide, then one commonality is their battle for us, the battle for democracy on January 6th, then that seems to be linked to their demise.
Well, they don't know what they're talking about. This issue has been studied, and it was not seen as a causal factor prior to this, but they are trying to exploit the hilt out of January 6th, so who knows what they'll come up with. Here in New York, cops were, badgered and attacked up and down, up and down. And we've been seeing higher than normal suicide numbers in the New York City Police Department, even before last summer. It's a sad fact of life.
This Fanone character still continues to make a spectacle out of himself. Officer Michael Fanone of the Metropolitan Police Department, he's the one who yelled at Congress last week. Here he is on the cover of Time magazine. He is being now so exploited by Democrats, some Republicans, and definitely by the media. I wish him well. I think he's in way over his head, and he's being used. And this is, I wish him well. I wish him well. Meanwhile, when it comes to defending themselves, members of Congress, they may not like the police, but they sure like security. This is Cori Bush, Democrat from Missouri.
I'm going to make sure I have security because I know I have had attempts on my life and I have too much work to do. There are too many people that need help right now for me to allow that. So if I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, you know what? I get to be here to do the work. So suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police and put that money into social safety net.
You suck it up as your security declines and hers increases. This is a first-class idiot and a person who doesn't seem to care and performed such a spectacle this week by pretending she was homeless. It wasn't hard for her. She's been homeless before. Cori Bush, Democrat from Missouri. Keep an eye on her. All right, back to our suicide conversation in law enforcement. We'd like to bring in William Santana. He is a licensed mental health counselor. He's the owner of Blue Line Mental Health Counseling and a former New York City police officer. Sir, extensive experience, 7 years on the job here in New York. Welcome to Newsmax. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So I said earlier, and I've heard this over the years, but I'm sure your information is newer, and that there's not a correlation generally between the job of police officers and suicide. We do see a higher suicide rate, but often that's because the instrumentality is there. It's not necessarily the job that leads to the increased suicide rates. Is that true?
Well, quite honestly, old research would show us that it was not true. But what we saw then was that police officers who were being questioned at the time weren't being truthful to the extent due to the stigma surrounding mental health. So a lot of the research that was founded years ago really didn't show the true nature or the true amount of individuals who enduring mental health issues while employed as a law enforcement officer.
Okay, so what can you tell us about if there is a link about that, and what is the rate? Is there an accepted rate among law enforcement compared to the civilian population?
Well, in my opinion, there is a higher rate, but again, the numbers are still a little bit skewed due to the reporting issues. But now, according to bluehelp.org, just in 2021 alone, we have 8 suicides amongst the law enforcement community since they've been keeping record back since 2016. In 2016 alone, there was 149, 2017, 174, 2018, 182. And what we're seeing is an increase in the numbers.
Why do you think that is?
Well, quite honestly, I don't think it's just one factor. It's a cumulative effect. The law enforcement profession is a noble one. And quite honestly, it exposes many individuals to human nature that mostly everyone does not want to see. Everyone likes to see it in movies, but unfortunately, when they're seeing it in real life, over time, it's like a slow drip.
All right, enough of those guys. Now, it's Dabs for Donations Friday. If anybody wants me to do a dab in their honor, I will be happy to do one. This one is for our wonderful Jackie Cat because she can't stop giving, and that makes her awfully sweet. I'm sure there's a lot of other things that make her awfully sweet too. Thank you, Jackie Cat. I'm going to do this puff for her in just one sec. If you want me to do a puff for you, there's clickable links in the text body of the video, or in the chat. I mean, in the chat, there's also clickable links, or you can go to moxnews.com and see how wasted you can get me. Should take less than 2 minutes to make a donation. Very simple and very much appreciated. So this one is for Jackie Cat. Not quite. Almost. Ready? Almost. Okay, I'm ready. Here we go. This one's for you, Jackie Cat. I think I might be doing them too cold. But we'll do another one right away. Since we don't have any callers at the moment, the telephone number is 805-669-6397. I'm going to take another dab right away because it's we still own one to Don D, who gave a donation earlier in the week. So it's very generous of Don. And I wanted to say, very generous of all of you who donate. Let's see, what did I want to say? It'll come back to me, maybe. Wow! I also want to point out that we are doing the Subway gift card giveaway, which means if we get to $50 in donation, and Don D's second donation of the week puts us halfway to our goal at $25. If we get to $50, we will give away the beautiful, I mean, look how pretty this thing is. It's so pretty. Look how it glimmers in the light. You know you want it. If we get to $50 in donations, we will give away the Subway gift card to the 5th caller, and you can have lunch on Mox News. We'll be happy to make that happen. Where were we? We were doing this thing that we do. I'm going to play another video for you. Do I have another dab ready? I'm going to get another dab ready. So again, this cop suicide thing, I think there's a lot of stuff going on. I think cops are way overworked. I think there should be laws limiting about how many hours cops can work. We see this thing where, oh, they have all this overtime. They have all this overtime. That should not be allowed. Cops should probably be not allowed to work more than 40 hours, right? And in my opinion, 8 hours of that should probably be training. Mostly hand-to-hand stuff. So that they are every week. So that when they have to deal with someone, like let's say a mother of 4 with a pair of scissors in her hand, they don't automatically reach for their guns and kill her dead in front of her children, which is the most viewed video on the Mox News webpage right now. I'll go find a link for it and put it up in a sec. So part of it's overwork, part of it is the community, being dirty and nobody doing anything about it. Brendan was talking about the police unions. The police unions are horrible. According to the police unions, the cops can do no wrong. So we just need, we need a better design. A big part of it, like I said, is that these people that are already suffering from post-traumatic stress are working more hours than they should. Many, many more hours. They already have an incredibly stressful job. So, and I guarantee you, pretty much 95% of the cops out there take every hour of overtime they can get. I guarantee it. They're way overworked, and then a bunch of them are moonlighting on top of it, right? By moonlighting, I mean they will like at busy nightclubs, you can hire a police officer to stand out in front of your nightclub and make sure that everybody knows there's a cop. There's a cop right there, man. You know, so I think that they just work way too much to start with, and that's no good. And then they should be training. You know, if they're training, especially like let's say 6 hours, let's say 4 hours a week in hand-to-hand combat, right? And they just train against each other, and you know, again, this would build the brotherhood and the camaraderie, and a sense of, you know, like, you know, that they can handle a situation without resorting to deadly force. Because it seems like to me, if you're killing a mother of 4 with her children standing right there, you are, you know, and she's got a pair of scissors in her hand, you know, you are, you know, I mean, you're this big, strong, tough cop. You should be able to deal with this as opposed to killing. You're supposed to be there to protect. You think you protected those kids by killing their mother? I mean, she was, you know, not right in the head, but I don't think you made their situation better. So let's play a video here about the latest iPhone update, in which they will now be, they're telling you flat out, they will now be scanning every single video on your phone. They will know the content of every single video on your phone. They will know the content of every single photo on your phone. Right now, that's what iPhone is announcing to the public, is that they're doing an update in which they'll be scanning all videos and all images. Hello?
Hey, what's up, Mox? Can you hear me? It's Brandon.
Hey, Brandon. It's good to hear from you, bruh.
Yeah, you know, I talked to you the other night, but my phone was whatever. We was losing signal, so I just gave up. But yeah, man. So I just got back home, and you popped in my mind. So what we talking about tonight, boss?
That you're not eating enough cannabis.
Oh no, yes I am.
You are?
Well, not eating enough, but I've been shopping. Yeah, I went and got me a whole, you know, ounce, you know, and I mix matched it. You know what I'm saying?
Excellent.
All types of strands.
Awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
Then I went to, we just had a new dispensary opened up, and I went there, and now it's competition. So the prices are starting to drop. Right?
Awesome.
You know?
Yeah. Excellent.
And like the main place I go, you know, they give you points whenever you purchase stuff.
Yeah.
So I had like $50 of free money, and I went and bought it like, I think I spent like $2.90, you know, on a whole ounce, which is probably expensive from where you're at.
It depends on what you're buying. And if you're mixing and matching, it's always going to be more expensive. So that sounds like a pretty decent price, honestly.
Oh, dude, listen, I'm not arguing about it. And you could have got like whatever, 26, 28 grams. You can break it down to a gram or an eighth or whatever, right, of all these different strands.
Yeah.
But they ran out of the cowboy blunt that's wrapped in hemp.
Yeah.
So I checked out the new dispensary, and they had that shit. I'm like, oh my goodness. But yeah, man, it's good. It's a good time to have a medical marijuana license in the state of Missouri, boss.
You know what, Brandon? My experience was, I've said many times, I got my first gun when I was 9, and you know, my dad besides having like 300 guns in the house, and the majority of them being loaded, he had pit bulls, you know. So, and nothing in my life has ever made me feel more secure than having that little piece of paper that says I can have cannabis and you can't fuck with me.
Dude, listen, it feels so good, to be honest. It's just kind of like cheesy, but to be able to like have pot in your house you know, in kind of a large amount put up,
Yeah.
and not worry about I feel guilty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm sorry, and that's only if you have a fucking conscience. You know what I'm saying? But it really does feel freedom, and that's really what Americans want. And honestly, like, you've been advocating for this for a long time, but it's starting to trickle down to the older people, are the people who's just not looking down on it no more. They're like, you know what, my kid smokes pot, big deal. That's still my son. I love him. You know?
It's not just still my son, I love him. It's the safest fucking substance there is. More people die from drinking water than do from cannabis every year. More people die from drinking water than cannabis every year.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not gonna argue that, boss.
So
yeah,
go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, like, you know, it just feels great, you know, to just be open with it and be okay with it. You know?
Yeah, well, that's like I was saying. It's that little piece of paper, because I got that paper like this is going to be my 19th year that I've been a medical cannabis card holder, right? And so when I got it, that was like 5 years, 6 years before it became, you know, legal, recreational, and it wasn't the weed. I was all of a sudden so much better because I had some really good people I was getting weed from. I love getting weed from, in fact. It was that all of a sudden I had this protection. I had this protection from the cops where the cops couldn't just fucking hassle me because I had a bag of weed on me, you know? And that made me feel safer than anything else ever, Brandon. I mean, I'm sure that you've had guns that you slept with.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this level of which is ridiculous. Like you shouldn't feel this type of freedom for doing what you want to do to begin with when it's not hurting anybody else.
Yeah,
you're not stealing, you're not taking from. Yeah.
Like I said, it's the safest drug there is, dude.
You know what? Smog 100%, and it's so much healthier for you, you know. But it is a drug. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of, when I said that, I kind of cringed that I said that. I don't really think it's a drug. I think it's an herb. And by the way, Brandon, I started this show off. You know, the show is titled "You're Not Eating Enough Cannabis," right? And I started the show off by saying there's this passage in the Bible, right at the beginning of the Bible, and it says, God said, "See, I give you every seed-bearing plant that is upon this earth, and every tree that has seed-bearing fruit. They shall be yours for food." Okay? Right there at the beginning of the Bible. And anybody who knows anything about cannabis, right, knows that it is one seed-bearing motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh yeah.
I think that you know, this thing where it's not. What I'm saying is it's not a drug. It's a seed-bearing plant. You know, that we are supposed to be using, whether we're making our clothing out of it or building our houses out of it. You know, it has been taken from us for generations and generations and vilified. You know, when I said that passage earlier, it was because, you know, people call it the devil's weed, you know? And
yeah, it was.
Yeah, and it's just...
It make Mexicans and black people rape white women.
Right. And you know, once they go black, they're not coming back, so...
Well, I don't know about that. You know,
well, the problem was that they were going to get the women high on the reefer to start with, and then, you know, they were going to lose control. So, speaking of which, how's Ty?
Ty, we just got back from a cookout tonight with some people we know. It was their 5th anniversary, You know, me and Todd just had our 20th.
Yeah.
So Todd is she got a plate. She's eating spaghetti and chicken wings.
Will you guys have fun at the party?
Oh yeah, they're all educators, like they're all teachers.
Yeah.
You know, so like the man and woman's a teacher. All their friends, they grew up together in like St. Louis. They played college ball, whatever. You know, and it's just, you know, it's a very diverse group of men, and they're all teachers.
Is it pretty relaxed bunch of people?
Oh yeah, but you know.
So you bust out one of your cowboy reefers?
Well, no, because there was kids there, you know.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You know, but one brother walked up, and let me tell you, he smelled straight like OG Kush. Okay, you know. So I was like, oh, what is your name? You know, yeah. but it was a good time, you know. But yeah, man. I mean, shit. Mox. I think. I don't know. I hope America's going in the right direction. You know, and I think Joe Biden would go ahead and make weed, take it off the federal thing, or make it a class 2 or a class 3, right? So people don't lose their livelihood and they can still keep their job. And
yeah.
Well, that's what we need to advocate for.
Yeah, well, part of it being a class 1 or whatever, what is it? Class 1. That is Schedule 1. Is that it makes it so that there can't be any medical research on it. So it, you know, all this like generations where they, you know, the American Medical Association has said that there's no medicinal qualities, and no campus, no college medical schools or anything were allowed to do any kind, because if they did that, they wouldn't receive their government funding. So.
Yeah, I know. That's what I heard too.
So then they would do studies. They would do studies on this synthetic cannabis, right? Like spice and shit like that. And they would say, "Oh, this has all these horrible effects," right? And they're not even testing cannabis.
I know, yeah, and they're just spraying pretty much, you know, herbs with goddamn gasoline or whatever for that shit.
Yeah,
you know
I don't know.
Do?
Yeah, I don't know what they do, but it's something you never ever want to touch.
Oh no, man! Yeah, I've seen a video, I think on Vice or whatever about it, where this dude just had like, you know, herbs and was just spraying it.
Yeah.
You know, with this toxic spray.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. But I don't know, Mox. I think we're coming up, brother. You know, but a lot of people are stuck in their ways, man. You know, and yeah, that's it. It's their children that has to change them. You know, we came as neighbors and friends, or you know.
It's the whole culture, Brandon, that has to change. It's not really so much individuals as because you know, if we get your neighbor to do it, that's great. But we all just have to open our eyes and realize that the clock is ticking here, and it's really important that we start making very, very important decisions about what's next.
Yeah, I was. You know what? It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. Which I know that probably a lot of the listeners, you know, just saying we're talking about weed and stuff, but the same way with our environment. You know, it's pretty bad what's going on right now. You know, it's the same thing. Like, meaning, you know, we just can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. You know, there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know.
You know,
and there's not with new ideas.
Yeah. I know you had trouble calling. Were you watching last night?
Yeah, well, I was watching, then I called, and then I'm sorry, I just blew my garage. That noise. But yeah,
Hello?
I was these connections. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you cut out there for a minute.
Oh, okay, well, I'm sorry, that was my garage door closing. But yeah, I called in yesterday. And but I just couldn't, you know, it must have been my connection, obviously.
Yeah. There was something I was going to tell you that you were talking about, and I was going to tell you, and I lost train of thought. So, do you have plans for the weekend?
to be honest with you, I'm trying to get my wife back in college.
Nice.
So yeah. It's just the paperwork, and then we hit the deadline, and I think we'll find out between now and Thursday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, the kids are starting to go back to school. And then out here in Missouri, we got the Delta variant pretty bad. So we got like 8 kids or whatever in ICU right now in St. Louis, like children. You know, so so then of course you have the vaxxers, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to describe it. So like people just don't know what's going on. The governor's really not being vocal about X, Y, and Z. Meaning he don't want responsibility. So then you got all these, and then I live in St. Louis, but I live in St. Louis County. I live in the suburbs, and all the different suburbs got different mayors, police chiefs, fire chiefs. So they're doing their own thing. So, but I honestly, dude, I don't know. I'm just waiting for kids sending kids to school and hope everything works out, man.
Yeah.
That's it,
Yeah, I imagine that's a pretty big priority. You got to get pretty much right. So.
To be honest, it absolutely is. It's to the point to where, like, we just may not let our kids go to school in the beginning just to see what happens.
Yeah.
Now, because I don't want my kids to get sick.
Yeah.
So,
nobody wants their kids to get sick. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but and I know some parents are not vaccinated. They're like, well, my kid will get over it. I just don't want to risk that.
Yeah.
Because my wife can't have no more kids. You know what I'm saying? And you can't replace your children fucking
look, you don't want to put your family through something horrific like that, I mean, if you can do any... I don't know, honestly, what it means to have kids, dude. It's something that I knew from the time I was in high school that I didn't want to know what it was like to have kids. And I never have changed my thoughts on that. But I imagine... I really struggle to imagine what it must be like for people with kids in this kind of situation.
Well, what I see is you see, like, I'm sorry, I just couldn't hear. Sometimes you see, like, parents behave like their granddaddies would have behaved. Go on, boy, get up, dust your knees off, get back in the game. Meaning it's okay to get hurt, get your nose bloody, whatever. And some parents are like, oh no, son, if you fell down, come over here and I'll hug and kiss you. Meaning that those are life lessons. But I don't think COVID is a life lesson. I think that virus, and if you're one of the ones who it just hits you the wrong way once you walk by somebody and breathe it in, it can actually fuck you up. I don't think that those are life lessons to be tough to fight something you cannot see. There's nothing wrong with you put on your ass. When you play a sport or whatever, you run your mouth when someone kicks your ass. There's nothing wrong with that. But I honestly believe that a lot of these parents are like, well, hey, we're tough, and you're not. You're playing something you can't see. I just don't get it. I ain't saying you got to, get the shot. I'm just saying, like, there's got to be something to where the parents should be like, well, I don't want my kids to wear a mask. We got other parents who are going to say, well, I want my kids to wear a mask. And right now, in our school district, we have that beef right now.
Yeah. Well,
this is an uppity area.
Yeah.
I'm talking about literally around the corner house on the market for $1 million. Hey, I don't live in a cheap neighborhood.
Yeah.
And
by the way, you said in Missouri, $1 million is $1 million. Okay, it's not like fucking California or something.
Yeah. I mean, no, this is like, believe me, this would be like a $4 million house in California.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? But what I'm getting at is you feel this tension with people. Like who's wearing a mask, who's not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And it's like people are starting to look at each other in a matter of I'm beneath you or fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, how come you're not conforming? well, fuck you, I'm a rebel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm seeing. And where I live at, where like you see people, I went to Walmart about 8 o'clock in the morning, Mark, and just get some grass seed and some other shit, right? And they got the signs up. You got to wear a mask to Walmart.
Yeah.
So some people walking back to their car are pissed. And now this is the people that's walking back to their car mocked. They're over 60. They're a good candidate if they catch the shit, right? Even if they've been vaccinated or whatever. But they was just pissed.
Well, yeah.
And it's just weird. It was like, okay, so just put a mask on, go get what you get and leave.
Well,
but it was like literally they was really pissed off.
I think it's like, oh man, I thought we were fucking over this bullshit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
How long is this bullshit gonna go on for? And I, Brandon, you were saying you're trying to decide whether or not to keep the kids out of school for like the first part of it or whatever. I've been thinking about that a lot, dude. And like I said, I don't understand what it's like to have kids, but I can't imagine, having to. I don't see how it's honestly safe. If the kids have to wear masks to go to school, then how can it be safe? So.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Meaning, like we have 2 elementary schools. Literally a mile or 2 apart. And I'm like, okay, we'll just take the unvaccinated parents and put their kids in one school and the other kids in the other school. And then that would be a fucking issue.
It is an issue, Brandon. That's like, this is the white school. This is the white school, and that's the black school.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like the same ones who say the government shouldn't tell me to put something in my body. But a lot of those people are the same ones telling women what to do with their body. So it's really ironic how things are playing out, about freedoms and stuff. And maybe it'll make us better, but honestly, I see a lot of animosity, like right here in Missouri, and this is a red state. Because people want to get back to normal, and some people are like, well, it's fake, it's not true, or whatever. And it is an educational level also.
What now?
It's a educational level also, meaning where I was at, people are highly educated, they get vaccinated. Majority of them do around here. But the other people that's lower income, they're not getting vaccinated. They don't trust it. It's the mark of the beast, 666. It's the chip in them. The Jews are taking over, blah, 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 blah. And then if they're black, then they ain't trusting the government anyway. Okay?
I'm not any of those things, but I sure as hell don't trust the government.
Yeah, honestly, I don't see why anybody would.
Yeah. And it's not a good plan. I think even if you had a good government, you should really look at them sideways. Like, I know there's shit going on,
Yeah. But let's be honest, as sad as America is sometimes, Mom, there's more successful people than they are people who's not successful. Meaning there's always an uptick. And sometimes, the past couple of decades, uptick's been kind of slow for the average American. And maybe America needs to, reset some rules and some laws so the guys can catch up, maybe for 10 years, and go back to what it is, right? So then go back to what it was.
I don't see anything going back unless the people stand up, and I don't even think going back is a good idea. I think that what needs to happen is we need to start over, because things been messed up for a long time, and if we just go back, where do we go back to? It doesn't work. We need to start over, and and we'll just take like the founding documents and and make sure that everybody's covered, and there's so much rules. It's like you can't. Everyone is a criminal. If you consider people who break the law to be criminals, whether or not they get charged with something or not, then everyone in this country is a criminal, and that doesn't work for anybody except for, I guess, the really rich people.
Yeah, but that is something that the well, let me back up. It seems to me the really rich people, the Bill Gates, the Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, they're giving their money away. The really rich people. But what you see is these little minions, these power struggle people. You know, maybe $100+ million people that's in government, or they are financiers or something to do with government, lobbyists or whatever. Those are the ones who are manipulating everything. They're the ones who want the profit. The very wealthy people are getting the profit because they just invest smart. And that is something that we're not doing a good job explaining. Like, hey, if you vote for this bill, this is what it's going to cost you on the back end and this end.
Jeff Bezos is he's messed with local governments. He's collaborated with local governments and federal government to make it so that Amazon pays basically no taxes. Okay, unlike your business, unlike the neighbor's business, Jeff Bezos' business pays no taxes. Now, I like that idea because I don't like the idea of taxes. And I believe that taxes in that kind of situation are just passed on to the consumer anyway, so then it's like the consumer is being double taxed. But that being said, there isn't any business like that except for Amazon and probably a couple other super rich people. And that doesn't happen just because Jeff Bezos doesn't, deal with these, Congress people. They just let them write their own rules. They write those rules special for Amazon. That doesn't just happen by accident, Brandon.
Oh no. That's the gift and the curse of capitalism.
Look, it's more than that. It's a corrupt government that we can't allow to exist because it's not just the Jeff Bezos of the world. It's the military-industrial complex. It's the pharmaceutical companies. All these people are fucking up our entire civilization. And there's no reason except for people want to make big piles of money. And that's just about as disgusting as they're fucking up our entire civilization so that they can make big piles of money. And Jeff Bezos, okay, he's made his big pile of money, and you talk about him giving it away or whatever. I don't see that. I'm not really looking for it. But one of the things I keep talking about is that somebody like Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates, both who live in this area, in this Seattle area, they could save the orcas, the Puget Sound orcas, which now there's only 70 of them left. If they said, this is our priority, we have all the money in the world, and what we want is to make sure that these whales are here for generations to come, they could do that. But they choose not to. They choose instead to make more money, which they're going to do anyways. But they could be making an actual difference in the world, and they're choosing not to. And that's why, I despise these people. That's why I despise Donald Trump. He could have made really good things happen in the world, and he chose to, squander it away on hookers and cocaine.
He did. You know what, Moss? That hurt. Honestly, I agree with him that he squandered that opportunity he had, man.
Yeah.
To be like a non-politician and to win the way he did against the establishment, the elite of the elite, and then just picked it away on some petty shit. When he really could have been like, you know what, X, Y, and Z. Because we accepted him for his faults once he got elected. Hey, ran by the pussy, cheat on his wife. We accept, hey, that's, you know what? That's the man's man. He's a businessman. He get it.
Look, it's not so much he's a man's man, because you don't want to teach your kids to be like that, you know.
Exactly.
It's that once he became president, that stuff's, you know, a done deal. We're not talking about, you know, this bullshit anymore that's like supposed to make Hillary Clinton president. We're here now, and let's see, you know. But all they did was vilify the guy and try and keep him in check, as opposed to making stuff happen. And when I talk about what he could have made happen, I'm talking about before he became president. You know, when he had all these billions of dollars for generations, all he did with it was, you know, be this fucking, you know, playboy jet setter who, you know, bangs hookers and fucking whatever. You know, I mean, that's porn stars, whatever you want to call them. And and that's fine. But you could make something awesome happen in the world. I don't care if you're banging porn stars and snorting 7-gram bang. I don't care if you're banging 7-gram rocks and fucking porn stars. More power to you. But if you have as much money as Jeff Bezos, you should go, you know what? Manatees in Florida are this incredible treasure that makes our earth the blue-green jewel that it is, and we can't just let them expire. And even if he couldn't save them, you know, he could make a real effort to say, this has got to be a priority for us people, otherwise humans really aren't worth saving, are they? You know, and he has the loudest microphone in the world, being the fucking richest person in the world. He could, you know, look what Elon Musk gets when he fucking does a tweet about crypto. He crashes the fucking market. So, you know,
they're nerds, though. They're nerds. Honestly, like, they're all nerds, so they don't know how to handle all this.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They can employ look, you don't have to be a nerd or you know, whatever else you want to be. If you're a stoner, then you're probably much more concerned about the manatees than if you're not. But you don't have to be anything to be concerned about this mass extinction that's going on. To start prioritizing that we have to, like, we can't let these things that are basically at the top of the food chain, the orcas, the manatees, we can't let them just expire because we're at the top of the food chain. Who the fuck is next? Get a fucking clue. Let's have some goddamn priorities on this planet. Hello? Hello?
Hear me?
Kind of.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, nah. Okay, no, what I was saying, it's just common man. It's just common man to be greedy.
I think it's not common man. I think it's programmed, Brandon. I think, you know, that's what the American dream has become, is to make a big fat pile of cash. That's what the American dream is now, you know. And I understand it, but I don't think it's a way to live your life, chasing a fucking dollar, you know, so that you can get more and more and more. I just think that's, for me, for myself, I you know, I just can't prioritize money in that way. I guess it's to my own demise. Hello? Hello? I can't hear you. Hello? We lost him. It's nice to hear from Brandon. He's really an awesome guy. And I'm really, really glad and excited for him that he got his his medical cannabis card. Because, as I said when I was talking to him, for myself, I mean, he's in a state where recreational is not legal. And I got my medical cannabis card in 2003. 2003. And might have been 2002, you know, somewhere in between there. And when I got it, I grew up with guns, pit bulls, you know, training, hand-to-hand training, and nothing in my life has ever made me feel safer than to have that card that said I can have cannabis on me and you can't fuck with me. And I so love that feeling. So I am glad Brandon, I hope, and I would be very glad to hear that Brandon is experiencing something similar to that. Now, I'm going to play a video here. I'm going to play a video about the iPhone update. I was talking about that, and then I keep getting cut off. I need to do a dab for Don D because he was so gracious as to make a second donation this week. And if you'd like to make a donation, it's easy to do. There are clickable links in the text body of the video, or you can go to moxnews.com, or I am putting links in the chat right now. And it's Dabs for Donations Friday, so I will do a dab in your honor. A big fat puff just for you. Now, that being said, I have this video that I keep talking about, and then we get interrupted by one of our fabulous phone callers. I have this video where they're talking about the next iPhone update. And in the next iPhone update, or the one that, you know, the most recent one, they have they announced that they will be scanning every single video that you have on your phone. Every single picture that you have on your phone, they're going to be scanning. Now, I told you that our government has been doing this with your daughter's 12-year-old daughter's cell phone for 15, 16 years now. Although, of course, your 12-year-old daughter wasn't around back then, but that's how long I've been telling you. Well, actually, it's probably been 15, 14 years. But anyways, the point is that they're spying on your daughter, and this is the government that we have. Now this is your phone service provider that we have, and soon it will be the local police department that we have, scanning every image on your computer, on your phone. It's just never ending with this ever expanding, over intrusive, comply or die police state. It's never going to end unless we say enough. And I just want better for everybody. I have a nice life. I don't really think about cops. I don't. Unless I see a news story where another cop killed a kid or something, or pepper sprayed a handcuffed 9-year-old girl. Okay, when I see a cop, 6 cops standing around, 9-year-old girl handcuffed behind her back, and another cop inches from her face, pepper spraying her, while she's fucking just sitting there. Then I think about cops. Otherwise, I don't really think about cops a whole lot. I'm not doing anything. I'm not hassling anybody. I'm just walking the dog. And I'm going to keep it that way. So... And they got my medical marijuana card, and I don't actually carry weed with me unless we go, on a long journey, because generally I take a brownie in the morning, and I'm good for like 8 hours. So we go to doggy park or whatever. I don't really take weed with me. When we go to concerts and stuff like that, like just local stuff where it's just going to be 3 hours or whatever, I take weed with me then. But if you're at live music, you kind of want to have weed, It's a tradition. So I'm going to play a video about the iPhone update in which they say the iPhone Apple company will now be spying on each and every one of you and your 12-year-old daughter because they can. So, and I thought that was probably important for you to know. I'm going to take a dab for Don D when we get back. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Privacy concerns are now swirling around Apple's new plan to scan iPhones for images of child pornography. Apple says it'll roll out a new software update this fall that will detect sexual abuse images stored on Apple devices and in the cloud. Some critics claim the move is a way to conduct surveillance on all Apple devices. Several tech security experts say the plan bears close watching, but the intentions are good.
And what they're doing is they're making mathematical algorithms so that they can actually match these photos up. So yes, they're scanning photos in a way, but not in the way where they're looking at, they're actually looking at photos. Based on the technology and how they're going about this, I think that the benefit outweighs the risk for now.
Experts say the software scans for photos already documented by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Apple says the company cannot see what's being scanned until something is determined to be illegal.
I think I am taking these dabs a little too cool because there seems to be a lot of excess cannabis oil in the bowl when I go to reheat it. So I think I'm probably doing them a little too cool, but I don't want to do them real hot. You do them real hot, then you burn yourself. If you burn yourself, you're not going to have a good time. So it's tricky. I really want to get an electric nail or e-nail, because then it's always the right temperature. Once you like dial it in, you got it, and it's always ready to go, and no torch, no and no hot torch, which is kind of not a good thing to have sitting around the living room if you can avoid it. So I really want to get an e-nail. One of these days, I don't so much, well, I want to get an e-nail, but what I really want is an e-nail sponsor. Because then we could be like, and we're having our excellent e-nail, our most excellent e-nail, a fat dab, and it'll be like, if we have 2-3 donations, we'll be able to do them, one after the other, as opposed to having to heat up the bong. Now that it's heated and cooled and just right, this one is for Don D. The second donation this week. Thank you very much, Don D. Oh. Nice one. Thanks so much, Don D. I hope you're able to stick around and see that one. That was a good one for you. And thanks so much to everybody for tuning in. I have, let's see. Oh, I have a video about Sturgis. I find it very interesting. And I have a video about the space station. I wanted to play the video for you about the space station because I thought you guys might find it. I've always find space and that kind of stuff fairly interesting. It seems to be more and more this propaganda thing. And it really bothers me. I can't tell you how much it bothers me that there has not been any reported missions to the moon since, they went back in the 70s, right? Why has there been no missions to the moon? If we did it before, why wouldn't we want to do it again? They want to send all this technology to Mars. and go, oh, look, we have the new latest rover on Mars. Well, how about we go to the moon and we build something there? Because they say, oh, we want to go to Mars and we want to build Mars colonies, right? Well, I don't think you can. And I right now don't believe that you're doing shit. So, because it's, you know, let's go to the moon. Let's go there. Let's, you know. Anyways, I have this video about the space station doing some kind of a tumble because like a booster rocket fired or something that was unexpected, and there is someone who describes the event, and I thought you might find it interesting. And then I have a video about Sturgis, which is not very long, so I will play the space station one and I'll be right back. I'm gonna go heat up my tea. I'll be right back. Anybody wants to call, the number's 805-669-6397. It's right there on the screen, people. Get with the program.
Basically doing a backflip in space when a newly attached Russian module suddenly fired its thrusters on Thursday. It sent the station spinning 1.5 revolutions, or about 540 degrees. Joining us now is our friend and astronaut. He's Jose Hernandez. It's great to see you again, Jose. So anytime you talk about doing a backflip accidentally, that can't be good. What happened?
That's correct, Joe. Great being here. Absolutely right. 3 hours after the new module docked to the International Space Station, the Russians were integrating the module with the International Space Station commanding, and then all of a sudden the thrusters fired, causing it to do, as you mentioned, 1.5 turns, enough to make any Olympic gymnast jealous. And luckily, it finally stabilized, but it stabilized about 180 degrees off, so then they had to fix it, and all is well now.
Well, this got a little scary at times, didn't it, Jose? I mean, I don't want to overblow it, but I think that they declared, what was it called, like an emergency, a spacecraft emergency for the first time. So the warning board's going off. If you're on board when this happens, what are you thinking?
Absolutely. Anytime you have the station firing thrusters without command, that's great, cause for concern. And so the first thing you want to do is stabilize it, which the ground control did, and then you want to find out what the root cause is, which is what the Russians are working on right now. So hopefully it's not going to happen again. But the crew and the station was never in danger. It's just that you just don't want it rotating uncontrollably.
So this module had just arrived, and it was unmanned, correct?
That's correct.
Right.
It arrived unmanned, and they were just integrating it with the station.
Right, but the only way for them to communicate with it was from the ground at a station in Russia, as I understand it, correct? And the next pass over Russia was an hour away, and they had a couple of blackouts as well, one of them for like 7 minutes in communications.
Yes, but they do have manual override in the modules in the event of such an emergency. I'm not certain if they went ahead and activated those or they just waited until they had a signal and the Russians took control of it.
All right, let's talk about some new pictures that were just released, Jose. These were fantastic, and I just love these old pictures. They've been remastered with new details from the Apollo 15 mission, and we're coming up on the 50th anniversary, which is just a great excuse to show these spectacular pictures. 4 spacewalks on this mission, and man, just again, how cool is it to see these, Jose?
It is so cool, Joe, because let me tell you, the Apollo missions were the missions that actually inspired me to become an astronaut, watching these astronauts walk on the moon. And Apollo 15 is especially, it's very special because it's the first one that took a lunar buggy to go and operate on the surface of the moon. So it accomplished in its almost 19 hours that the astronauts were on the surface of the moon. They accomplished a lot of work because of that lunar buggy that they had to drive around.
When do you think we're back on the moon, Jose?
Honestly, I really think that we're probably going to be back in about 2025, 2026. I think they want to go by 2024. I see it a little difficult, but we're going to get there. We have to go back, and it's going to be a big team effort. I think it's going to involve other countries, and it's going to involve the private sector. So it's going to be a big effort to establish a long duration lunar base there so that we can develop and test technologies. So one day we can head to Mars.
Wow. All right. Hey, there's more I want to talk to you about the next time we get together, Jose, and that includes your personal life. I know you just bought a vineyard, and your life is so interesting, how you got where you are. They're making a Netflix movie about it. So we'll talk about that the next time we get together, huh?
Absolutely, yes. We're making our own wine, so absolutely, we'll be happy to talk about that, Joe. Thank you very much.
All right, Jose, good to see you. Take care.
All right, hold on. Let's see. I thought that was an interesting video. I thought you guys might want to see it. I didn't see it a whole lot of places, so I want to share that with you. This stuff about the moon, it just, all I can tell you about the moon missions that we know about is that it really bothers me that we haven't been back in 50 years. Really doesn't, I mean, it really bothers me. I can't tell you. If they were able to accomplish it in 1970, why aren't they able to accomplish it now? You know, or why don't they, like, you know, oh, the 50th anniversary, we're going back to the moon. Is it like, oh, we did that already? That's like saying, oh, someone climbed Mount Everest. What's the point now? Right? I mean, isn't it exactly like that? Oh, somebody already went to the top. I guess there's no reason for us to do it. Does it? I mean, again, that's just basic logic of this simple brain that I have. So that just bothers me. That's all I'm saying. But I believe there has been secret missions. I thought, from what I understood, in 2019, December 2019, I think it was 2019, the Chinese were supposed to do a manned mission to the moon. I read that somewhere, and then it didn't. I never heard anything else about it. So I don't know. I don't understand it. It really bugs me. Why not? Why haven't we, you know, if this space travel thing is so important, if we really want to set up some kind of colony on Mars, right? This is one of these things that they talk about. Oh, we want to do this. That's why it's so important for us to go to Mars and make sure that, you know, we can get around and find out if there's water there. Well, if that's what you're going to do, then you're going to have to get this building a space colony down, right? You're going to have to be able to do it like really, really good, really, really well. And if you can't do it on the moon, I would think you would need a test ground in space that would kind of simulate what it is that you need to make happen before you travel, you know, half the distance to the sun or whatever. I think you'd want to do a little practice run, right? And build a little something on the moon. And even if it's not like something that goes on as some event, which it wouldn't make sense. You build this thing, and then you go up there, and you have like this little base up there, and it's like the International Space Station. It's the International Moon Base, and then China and Russia and all these people can come and visit. You know, it's just exactly like the space station. So why don't they have that? Why haven't they done something like this? It's like saying, again, like, oh, someone has been to the North Pole. Somebody's already been there, dude. What's the point? Doesn't compute in my brain. Might just be me. I don't know. Or it might be there's secret things going on that we're not allowed to know about, like the secret moon base. Who knows, right? So I have one more video. I'm going to play that for you, and I'll be back to tell you why I played this video, and that will be fun, won't it?
This weekend, hundreds of thousands of bikers will be in South Dakota for the annual Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. And with COVID still a major threat, as we've discussed all day, health officials are giving attendees self-test kits. This is an attempt to prevent an outbreak. But the CDC said last year's rally, which attracted 460,000 people, was no question a super spreader event. CNN's Adrian Broadus is in Sturgis. So tell us more about the rally and what they're trying to do to prevent the spread this year.
Hey there, Victor. There are some mitigation factors in place. For example, all along this street, you'll see hand sanitizing stations, and the city has partnered with the state health department to offer COVID tests for free for anyone who requests them. But we do know this year more people are expected to show up. The pandemic and the rise of the Delta variant isn't enough to keep people away. An estimated 700,000 people will flood Sturgis. The town is a small town, population of about 7,000. We spoke with a local doctor, and this is what he said about how those tests will work.
These are rapid antigen test kits. You just take the swab out of the kit, take a sample from your nose, put it back in the kit. 15 minutes later, it'll tell you if you're positive or negative. If you're having symptoms and it is a positive test, clearly you're positive. If you're having symptoms that is negative, you need to go get tested because sometimes these tests can fail.
And the city is also offering masks to anyone who wants to wear one. But if you look around, you'll notice not many people are wearing masks here. Victor?
So, Adrian, what do we know from the governor? With the governor, is she saying anything about this?
You know, she will be here on Monday. She's expected to participate in a charity ride. And yesterday on Twitter, she published a tweet welcoming all of the riders. She specifically said, in part, that riders know about the risk more than anyone. Victor?
Adrian Broadus in Sturgis, thank you.
Bikers come here because they want to be here. I think that reporter would look really good on the back of a Harley or Triumph, classic Triumph. I think that would be even better with like a little kind of British style outfit, you know, like a little kind of racing cap thing. And this is how my mind works, people. The Sturgis rally, I find it very interesting the way they paint this. Now, I have been talking all week long about basic logic. You know, one of the shows this week was titled, "Would you go to a packed concert or sporting event during the middle of a plague?" Right? And because that doesn't make sense to me. Again, I have this very simple way of looking at things, and it doesn't make sense to me that if we are in the middle of this deadly plague, which we hear all day, every day, it doesn't make any sense to go to a concert, you know? So, or people are going to be, I mean, I don't want to go into any details. I don't really even want to discuss the Rona right now, but this video about the Sturgis thing seems like they're painting it as this giant super spreader event, you know, and the reason I say that is because I watch them talk about all these other events that are going on, You know, Lollapalooza, we've been talking about this week. During the concert, you know, would you go to a packed concert thing? Lollapalooza, and all these other events we've seen, you know, they've been talking about sporting events, been, you know, showing all this stuff and how great it is people are out. And then, and then the Sturgis thing comes up, and we don't like those people. They're the bad people. They're all going to get sick. They're all going to make us sick. They're going to make your children sick. I find it fascinating, you know, the way the propaganda works, or whatever it is. I don't mean to say it's propaganda. I'm just a simple caveman live streamer, you know. All these motorcycles and microphones and bright lights. So we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back Monday. Let me make sure we got all the dabs caught up here. For all the wonderful people who donate to Mox News, thank you so much. And it's because of you that we're still here, that I'm still here. So it means the world to me. I can't thank you enough. We do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back on Monday, same Mox time, same Mox channel. Until then, stay cool, because one of these days, this war is going to end. And that's going to be an awesome day. Stay cool till then.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am? You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of...
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories, 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.